3 is going to lead the field into the first corner. He's got the 27 of Tim Richmond to his right elbow as they're still building speed in turn number 2. That's the 20 of Jake Finch, who will tuck in line behind Willie Mullins as the field hits the back straightaway. Here they come, still climbing and building speed as they work their way down the Daytona Superstretch. Willie Mullins now a 1-car length lead over the battle for second between Jake Finch and that white number 20, and then the black and white 27 of Tim Richmond. Everybody else behind them still 2 by 2 as they work their way out of turn number 4, 3 wide further back in the pack.
But first of all, he's got to deal with the Tim Richmond machine. He's got about a half a car length in that inside line. Drafting help down low. He will take command of the number 2 spot. For the moment, he'll stay in line behind Mullins.
That's exactly what happens coming out of 2. Right behind Willie Mullins, he'll make the move and fall in that single file formation. He that we're talking about, Jake Finch, is now the front 3 have broken the way out the end of the backstretch.
They're side by side for 4th. Behind them, that 3rd car in line is Ryan Huff as the top 3 have broken away. It's still Willie Mullins out front.
Further back, defending champion of the race, Greg Van Alstrom, all the way
single file and huddled up down on the yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack. The battle for the number 4 spot is underway. That's Ryan Huff down to the inside. He'll take this spot away from Richmond.
Ryan Huff that is, will take that position out of turn number 2. It's a 3-car breakaway up front, and they are stacked up for position 4 on back. Tim Richmond has that 4th spot. Now they're side by side for 5th.
Justin Bonsignor on the inside, and to his outside is Tony Breidinger. Behind him, they're 3 wide. Greg Van Alst trying to find some racing room as they settle into golf.
Yeah, he's got it rolling. Greg Van Alst does.
Involved as they spin and crash down onto the apron. Tony Breidinger, the closest to the front of the pack, to be swept up in that mess. A number of other cars have been gathered up. This is a full-scale melee in turn number 2. The Amber Balkan machine comes limping past. She's got damage on that automobile. It's Tanner Gray's got some damage. There are a lot of torn up race cars just kind of limping their way now back to the apron.
And Tony Breidinger was the first to get turned sideways. Not sure if she had help or not. From our vantage point, we just saw her car break loose and a lot of smoke go in the air.
Experiment is over as well. That car is just, it's pogo sticking down on the apron in front of me. Serious damage outside. The rear panel is missing.
Is involved, and it's going to take us some time to figure out who all is involved. There's a number of drivers. Armani Williams involved, Tanner Gray, Jeff Schofield, Chris Wright involved, Tony Breidinger, Shane Van Gisbergen, among a number of others. Alex is looking on. We're trying to get them for you as quickly as we can. But Dave, as you pointed out, you know, the number went up quickly. You said 5 involved, 10, 15, 20 cars involved. It just kept escalating.
Yeah, it really did. And, you know, when the worst case scenario is when the first car involved goes down to the apron, because every spotter in the place is saying go high, go high, go high. and then it hooks the apron and heads right back up to that outside retaining wall. That's what happened to Tony Breidinger, and a bunch of other drivers just had nowhere to go.
As a lot of those wrecked race cars have made their way to the pit lane. Steve Post, there's a couple down there in front of you.
Yeah, Amber Balkan's car is down here, and the front end is really tore up on that Venturini Motorsports Toyota. She just got caught up in it, nothing she could do. Veteran crew chief Dave Fuge calling the shots on this program, and right now he's calling the damage repairs on it. So Amber Balkan's car, we're going to have a few more of the Venturini cars if they can limp around the racetrack, get down here and try to get some repairs on the race car. Also have another car rolling up, Mandy Chick, who had a top 5 finish. She's running off the left side of her car. We'll see. Mandy Chick, if she has any
Mindy also involved. So Mandy Chick, Ben Gisberg, Amber Balkan, Monty Williams, Caleb Costner, Tanner Gray, Jeff Schofield, Chris Wright, Tony Breidinger, and that is only going to continue to go up. I think, Alex, you got some more. Let's check in with Jason Toy.
Yeah, Tanner Gray came in and had damage on the right front corner of that Toyota. They went underneath it. It's ascertained that they can't fix it back here. They took it back to the garage area for Tanner Gray. So a short night for Tanner. Also, we saw the Costner car, Caleb Costner, come down. He has heavy damage. He still sits down on the pit lane too. Also, Andy Jankowiak, Steve Post is headed your way.
Jankowiak's got damage to the left front. Behind Steve Post, we see you in hot pursuit to get a bird's eye view of what's going on with that race car.
Yeah, you described it with Andy J, and he came in with such big hopes in this Daytona run. Andy's planning right now on running the first 7 races this season, and then see where that leaves him. Mike Dayton, the crew chief, on it, but left side damage is what they're working on in the car, especially the left rear, right where it says wheeling. Car has the left front has got some damage as well. Got a dinged up defender on that machine. So not what Andy J was looking at here as he started at the back end of the field. He gets caught up in this one early, but we'll see if they can get it sorted out and get Andy back up out of the speedway.
At least 13 cars involved in the crash headed off into turn number 1. It happened on lap 3. We've completed 5 laps. Pole sitter Willie Mullins is the race leader.
So at least 10 cars crash in turn number 1 on lap number 3, which brings out the first caution flag of the evening. We've been looking at several different replay angles of what happened on NASCAR TV, and there are several cars that are on pit road right now trying to have their teams repair them as best they can. Amber Balkan is on pit road, Andy Jankowiak is on pit road, Mandy Chick, 06 Steve Jr. also on the road. Right now, under the caution flag, is Willie Mullins the leader. In second place right now, Jake Finch. Ryan Hunt is third, Tim Richmond is fourth, and in fifth is Greg Van Alst. More damaged cars from the accident just a few moments ago making their way to the pit lane. Jason Kitzmiller is in. Also the 08 of Patrick Emmerling is getting pit service. There you see Shane Van Gisbergen's Chevrolet SS. He was one of the cars that was swept up in this crash. So unfortunately, a very early exit to this race for Shane. The Australian V8 Supercar champion wrecks out early in the Hard Rock Bet 200. Looked like there was initially contact between Gustine and Tony Breidinger, which set off that multi-car crash. Gustine and Tony Breidinger, 2 teammates at Venturini Motorsports, who, by the way, have won 5 of the last 6 races here at Daytona in the ARCA Menard Series. But there were quite a number of those Venturini Motorsport cars that were caught up in this crash. Amber Balkan was one of them, Tony Breidinger another one. There is what remains of Chris Wright, another one of those Venturini Motorsports cars. So that's 3 of them right there that were swept up in this crash on lap 3. Let's return back to Alex Hayden.
Back here here at Daytona International Speedway. The ARCA Menard Series racing the Hard Rock Bet 200. And we've had a big crash over in turn number 1. It's wiped out a handful of cars, damaged a lot of other cars. Jeff Schofield and Papa, Armani Williams, among those drivers that got problems over there, got a piece of that crash in the event. Jeff?
Yeah, just a quick update. The car goes to the garage in a number of them have. They are, unlike with NASCAR, allowed to return. There isn't the damaged vehicle policy like we see in NASCAR. So some of those torn up race cars have gone to the garage. If they elect to, they have the opportunity to come back out.
So that's good news for a lot of those teams. After just 3 laps of racing, get out there, get it fixed. You never know what's going to happen throughout the running of the rest of this race. Sioux Chief designs and manufactures some of the most diverse and innovative plumbing products in the country. They make things because they can make them better. Sioux Chief, available at Menards.
Aramendia, Pampa, Chris Wright, Shane Van Gisbergen, Tony Breitinger, Jeff Schofield, Tanner Gray, Amber Balkan, Andy Jan, would appear to be obviously either most damaged or done for the night, as they have all gotten at least a lap down. Andy Jan Koyak now a lap down, Mandy Chicken, she's a lap down. Everybody else involved in one way or another have been able to stay on the lead lap.
The bulk of the cleanup has taken place. What's the latest out there, Dave?
You can add the machine of Steve Lewis to the list of cars that he's done for the night. They are towing him back through the campground, taking him in the back way. Serious damage on that car. There's not much left of it, so his evening is going to end. Other than that, now the area is cleared. No more wrecked race cars. It appears like both the racetrack and the apron are clean and ready to go back to race.
All right, Dave, thank you. Willie Mullins is the leader, and he's led all 7 laps. Jake Finch, 2nd. Ryan Huff, 3rd. Tim Richmond, 4th. And Greg Van Alst. More on Greg in a moment and that run up the outside to get into the top 5. Gustine was the pusher behind Greg Van Alst. Gustine was 6th. Somebody up there and give him a push because he knows how to get to the front. Gustine was the driver that did it, and they made it work. Alex Hayden just rim riding around this racetrack.
Yeah, they did. Everybody knows that Greg Van Alst has a fast race car, and if you're running in the back half of the top 10 or even in the early part of the top 20 and you see that car, that machine of Greg Van Alst go by itself, you better get in line to at least try to jump up in front of him. But Greg Van Alst was full head of steam by himself and was able to get a couple of cars, get behind him in a draft, and basically shove him all the way up to the top 5. So a solid run for Greg Van Alst. If you think back to our pre-race coverage, he said point blank, he feels like this car is even better than the one he won with a year ago.
And Mike Bagley, you had a bird's eye view of that back straightaway move. The first time he did it, you saw it, and nobody went with him. The second time he did it, Gustine formed up behind them, and they turned out to be a 2-car freight train headed to the front.
That was a very impressive move by Greg Van Alst. It's broken him into the top 10. Question is, can it break him into the top 5 and maybe the top 3? He flexed some muscle in the early going, and Greg Van Alst, what a driver here at Daytona, obviously, after the successes that he had a year ago, picking up where he left off here tonight.
Field 2x2 behind the pace car. Lights are out there, and we expect the green flag when they get back off of turn number 4 where they are located at the moment and get this race back under the green flag. 9 laps will go up on the board once they get to the start-finish line. Willie Mullins, Jake Finch is the top 2. Running in position number 3 is Ryan Huff. Then it's Tim Richmond and Greg Van Alst for top 5.
On the inside to the outside.
7 rows of cars, still 2 by 2. Willie Mullins, Jake Finch off to the back straightaway.
Wheel to wheel now. They will race. Willie Mullins swinging a little wide there. Finch wider to prevent making contact as they continue their side-by-side battle for the lead. Finch now will break free, but here comes Willie Mullins back to the bottom.
Up to full song at the end of the backstretch and back into the banking of 3. Willie Mullins strong on the inside, not really with a lot of help. Drives back to the point by himself, but Finch is back.
They come to the line to complete lap number 10. We go to lap 8.
Went 3 wide a couple of times, up on the fence, through the middle, and then just moved around a bit. Yeah, I felt really comfortable, but just wish it could have lasted longer.
That's SVG. I did talk with the team. It sounds like they might try and repair the car and get Shane back out on the racetrack if possible.
Yeah, they want to just log laps and get him some experience behind the wheel. That's what he's here for. It didn't last long by his own admission, so we'll see what happens. Caution flag has come out. I would imagine it's debris, and it is. We've got a number of cars that have been torn out. Back to the line, and now they get him slowed down as they head back to 1. Jake Finch took the lead, and he finished on lap number 11. This is unofficial because again they raced back to the line. Tim Richmond, Willie Mullins, Gustine, Ryan Huff. There was a piece of sheet metal literally laying in the middle of the back straightaway that just got obliterated by one of the front-running cars. Actually, it was a front stretch, and
it was Willie Mullins that hit it. The pole sitter race leader hit that piece of sheet metal right at the front of the race car, and we'll see if we can get a better look at it. But yeah, he's the one that hit it, and hit it hard, and sent that sheet metal flying again. So we got to put the caution out. Go get that retrieved. We'll be able to get the green back on the speedway.
Is it on the front or the back?
It was right there. Flag is out of the evening here at Daytona International Speedway. A piece of debris that was over there on the exit of turn number 4. That's a couple of cars had to duck to avoid. So we will slow it down for the second time. It is still at the front of the pack right now. Jake Finch, Tim Richmond, Willie Mullins, Gus Dean, and Ryan Huff. That is the current top 5 as they run. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen, today may be your lucky day. You can purchase your 50-50 drawing tickets, or you could be the winner. This year, we are guaranteeing a minimum pot of $100,000. You can find our sellers around the venue in Orange or purchase now at Daytona5050.com. 50% of the jackpot benefits the Ventic Foundation. And 50% of
tonight at Daytona International Speedway. And a great night for motorsports here at the World Center of Racing. It's been fun to watch these ARCA Menard Series cars and the Hard Rock Bet 200 run side by side for just about all the green flag laps. Nobody willing to give an inch and nobody willing to settle in and ride. They're going after it here today in the early going. Daytona, 15 laps. It'll be 16 laps complete when they come across the start-finish line in the Hard Rock Bet 200. The season opener for the Arc of Menard Series. One car slow to the inside coming down pit lane. That should not stop him from getting back up the green flag. The young Jake Finch in the 20 machine will restart on the inside lane.
He will try and catch a little bit of draft off the leader to the inside, and it will work, at least for the moment. Willie Mullins back to the third spot. He's going to have to fight for that, because down to the inside, here comes Justine.
Got some drivers angling to the bottom of the back straightaway, and that leaves Willie Mullins hung out to dry. He's going to drop outside of the top 5 as Jake Finch and Tim Richmond 1 and 2 and bring him back to the corner.
And work back into turn number 3. Gus Dean rides third, Greg Van Alst fourth. Those 4 cars single file around the bottom, double yellow line, and they're side by side from fifth back.
They are, as they're going to try to mix it up from there on.
Mullins is just trying to stop the bleeding right now. That outside lane is going nowhere fast. He has dropped all the way back to the 7th spot. He may lose that as well. Finally slams it down in line in 8th place.
Now the front 10 have cleared into single file formation after Willie Mullins now will make his move to the bottom of the racetrack. Watching Justin Ponsignor right now running into 6th position very comfortably on the inside of the racetrack.
A little further back, Leland Honeyman, who is in one of the Tyler Young cars, was just inside the top 10 a lap or so ago. He got hung out to dry and is falling outside the top 20 now.
Well, Willie Mullins is about the only driver who
for sure. The only driver we've seen make any hay up high was Greg Van Alst very early on in the race. Oh! Now slides it back down into single file. Oh, trouble off turn number 2. A couple of cars spinning and crashing as they make their way down toward the exit of the back straightaway. And that's going to be the Hunter Desitel machine. He was the driver change early on. He has slapped the outside wall and spun down onto the apron along with a Mandy Chick machine.
Yeah, caution on the speedway again. This is the 3rd caution flag to fly. You're on lap number 18 for the 200 incident.
So a 2-car crash over there in turn number 2. In the Hard Rock Bet 200. Let's watch on NASCAR TV if we can get a glimpse of what happened. You see the accident already in progress there. That was Mandy Chick, pretty hard hit into the outside wall. Looks like possibly a tire may have blown out on that Chevrolet.
74.
And then, as Dave Moody called, Hunter Desitel, who was the driver that filled in the number 75 entry tonight for Brian Doza. Brian Doza was not going to race. Instead, Hunter Desitel was going to go in that car, and those 2 cars involved in that accident over there in turn number 2.
The 2 races in today, still a couple of races left to go here for Speed Weeks presented by Advent Health. Looking forward to the Daytona 500 and the front row of Joey Logano, Michael McDowell, all the storylines. Jimmy Johnson back in the field here this weekend, and boy, Denny Hamlin, boy, doesn't he look good in that Toyota here this season. Looking to be pretty strong here as we roll into Daytona 500 just a few days from now, and Speed Weeks rolls into high gear here in Daytona. Great to have you with us here at the World Center of Racing, working the 3rd caution in the Arc of Menard Series Hard Rock Bet 200.